A scream for help as fire tears through an apartment, sending a wave of horror across China that has become a wave of protest. Residents say some doorways, even fire exits, were sealed off. COVID lockdown measures they blame for slowing the emergency response, even trapping some residents inside. 10 were killed. Anger at China's strict zero COVID policies is now pouring into the streets. A population past its breaking point after nearly 3 years of restrictions, even repression, with no end in sight. We want rule of law, these students chant. We want freedom. While most of the world has reopened, China is the only major country still trying to control COVID like this. Millions under strict and prolonged lockdowns, even for just a few cases. Mass mandatory testing, forced quarantines.
That is very draconian. This is really the last straw on the camel's back.
The cracks have been showing for a while. These workers breaking down a fence after being locked inside the world's largest iPhone factory to control the virus. Similar scenes at this IKEA, only this time with shoppers desperate to get out before being locked in.
The government had plenty of time to get it right, but I think they've failed to really prepare the population.
China is now seeing its largest surge in cases since the beginning of the pandemic, already threatening to strain the healthcare system, even with COVID-0 in place. Experts say while China has been locking people down, it hasn't done enough to get them vaccinated. Its homegrown vaccines are also not as effective as the mRNA doses in the West.
Essentially, no one's been exposed to the virus. Vaccination rates are suboptimal, and particularly in the elderly. So this is a really major challenge, and I don't see an obvious kind of way out right now.
Chinese President Xi Jinping reasserted COVID-0 at the Communist Party Congress last month. Unlikely, but even if the protests are prompting a rethink, politically, this analyst says Xi can't back down.
He himself continued to insist on the correctness of this zero COVID policy, so much so that now he cannot separate himself from the policy.
Easing up on COVID-0 would trigger a wave of deaths and doubt over Xi's leadership. A crackdown may end the protests, but it won't solve China's COVID problem. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.